So Haste, what is Haste? Jimmy mentioned this a little bit in his introduction, but what we created is what we call the world's first instant leaderboard payout program. And we're demonstrating that through the use of an arcade right now. So the example that I like to give, and Jimmy also touched on this a little bit in his introduction, but if you went into a traditional arcade, you go up to the Pac-Man machine, you spend 25 cents to play that game, say you do well, it says, congratulations, you've made the leaderboard, please enter your 3 initials. I think most of us would probably have that experience at some point. But once that's over, you don't really have much more to do after that other than the satisfaction of knowing, hey, I did well in this game, great, maybe I'll play again, maybe I'll go play the next game. Well, with instant leaderboard payouts, what we've actually built out is now anyone that plays on that Pac-Man machine after you, if you're on the leaderboard, you're going to get a percentage of their gameplay. So the example right here that you're seeing on the screen, if you actually hold the top spot and you're getting 10% of every subsequent play, that's 2.5 cents on a quarter. So Haste Arcade visualized that Pac-Man machine, but instead of a physical machine, you've got an online arcade now with, hopefully someday millions of people playing and actually real money being made through microtransactions. And that was really the entire purpose of what we built to begin with. It was, how can we demonstrate in a real world situation, using microtransactions to build a business model that otherwise would be impossible with the current payment rails. So I say that, and let's take that example. If I were to do this and try to, do something online, for example, if I just built a regular arcade, you put your credit card in, you pay $10, you get credits to play the games. You can still make leaderboards. You can still do this notion of, hey, the person that plays after me, I'm getting a percentage of their gameplay. But the key is the instant leaderboard payout. And that's something that only, at least through our research and what we built, is possible on BSV. I'm actually getting instantly pinged in my wallet that microtransaction on that next gameplay. So it's not something where I have to go and withdraw. It's automatic. It's built right into the platform itself. So what we think the impact of this is from 2 different angles. You have the game developers and you have the gamers. I'll start with the game developers. In the current model in the gaming industry, there's 3 real ways that people are monetizing their games. You have your AAA game studios, so that's going to be like your Call of Duties, your Madden, FIFA. The big studios, the games that we've all heard of, typically going to cost an upfront, $60 or whatever. So me as the consumer, I pay my $60. I now get to play this game for as long as I want. Within the game, there might be, subsequent purchases that I can make, like if I want to buy new skins or if I want to unlock special features. But that $60, that upfront cost is basically the main way that the big studios are currently monetizing their games. The next example would be, and I kind of just touched on this, but it's the freemium, where you can download the game from the App Store or whatever. You do in-app purchases if you want new skins, new weapons, you want to unlock new characters or new levels. You're paying, as you play, kind of. And then the last example would be you have the ad incentive, the ad-based gaming. So I can go to a website like addictinggames.com. I can play any game I want, but before I can actually play it, I have to watch a 5 or 10-second video showing me an advertisement, something that as a user I don't really care about and don't really want to see. So what we believe Haste is going to enable these game developers to do is add another revenue stream to these models. So they can now monetize on the transaction level. And I'll explain that a little bit more in the next slide. But now flipping over to the gamers, what this is doing for them is it's creating an incentive mechanism to keep them coming back to games that after, typically if it's not one of those big AAA game studios, if it's just like a Flappy Birds or something like Candy Crush like that, the fun wears off eventually, right? But now if I'm actually good at this game and I'm monetizing my plays, if I'm making leaderboards and I'm actually earning income from just playing these games, it adds another incentive for me to keep coming back to that game. So now I'm going to continue to play this game longer than I may have, which, going back to the game developers, they're making transactional revenue on every play now. So it's kind of this sustaining model that benefits both parties. So I said I would mention how it all works. So ILP, the way that I like to explain and think about it is we use the term outputs. So let's look at that quarter again that I was talking about in that introduction. Well, when that quarter is spent, picture one output going to the game developer, one output going to the Haste platform, one output going to the Haste loyalty wallet, which I'll talk about, and then 100 up to even possibly 1,000 outputs going to people that have made this leaderboard. And that's all happening, like I had already mentioned, instantly because of BSV and microtransactions. So I put my quarter in, Everybody that developed the games gets paid. Everybody that's in the Haste Arcade is making their revenue. The loyalty wallet's collecting a percentage, and then the rest of the leaderboard is getting whatever is left from that 25 cents. And what I think is unique about this, and something that's only possible with the way that we've built it and using tools like the Handcash Connect SDK, is that Haste is never actually a custodian of the funds. So it's not like you're paying 25 cents that Haste is collecting and then distributing to people on the leaderboard. It's actually peer-to-peer. You put in your 25 cents, and the person that's in the spot 1 is getting 2.5 cents directly from you. The person that's in spot 2 is getting 2 cents directly from you. The Haste Arcade is getting 2 cents directly from you. It's not something where I'm the one that's taking all this money and then distributing it out. So that's something else that I think is extremely unique and really only possible on BSV because of the other tools that are being built around BSV, like I had already mentioned, the Handcash SDK example. A couple other cool things that we have in the arcade, and this is something that we've kind of tried to focus our vision on, is using this arcade as a way to bring blockchain technology and the things you can do somewhat to the mainstream, and in a way that's not just like, oh, here's an NFT that I can sell for $1.5 million because someone's stupid enough to buy that. What we're wanting to do is actually use these things and say, hey, this is why this NFT has value. So what we have is the Haste player card. In essence, this is something that gamers can go ahead and mint on their own and basically create an NFT of their game player. So me, for example, I mint the Joe card. Well, once I've done that, I hold that card. For holding that card, I'm going to get a benefit of 10% of all my gameplays. So basically, anytime I play in the arcade, I'm getting a 10% discount or a 10% rebate on that gameplay. So if it costs me $1 to play the game, if I hold my card, now it only costs me 90 cents. What's interesting about this, though, is I can also sell my NFT to somebody else. So let's say I have a bunch of gameplays going on. Obviously, 10% of every one of these gameplays I'm getting back in a rebate. Well, if there's someone who's not necessarily a gamer, but they want to get involved in the ecosystem, or they like actually just kind of watching the scores and seeing what's happening, they can purchase my card from me. So maybe I want some instant liquidity, and I say, you know what? I bought this card for 0.5 BSV, but I want to sell it for 2 BSVs, because over the lifespan of my gameplays, I'm going to spend a lot of money in this arcade. Well, someone could purchase that card, and now they hold that 10% output from my player card, if that makes sense to everybody. So the way that I would say it is, whoever's holding this card is getting 10% of the player that's on that card's gameplays. The last bit about the card is that for minting it, and this is to keep the people who actually create the NFTs somewhat engaged, I could sell that card to somebody else. That person could sell my card to somebody else. I'm going to get 10% of each subsequent sale of my card. So I'm still getting value from minting this NFT. We also have the Haste token, again, trying to give people real-world examples of what you can use these types of things for. The best way that I would describe this is in a traditional arcade, you'll go ahead, you'll play your games. Whether you make a leaderboard or not, you're going to get tickets in return just for playing. People then go to the front of the arcade after they're done playing. They exchange their tickets for a stuffed animal. Well, in our arcade, the stuffed animal is BSV. So for every single gameplay, you're going to get allocated a portion of Haste tokens. So there's a set amount that are distributed every single day. They're distributed to the people that play in the arcade on that day based on how much money they've spent in the arcade. So for example, if I spend $10 on a day where $100 are spent, I get 10% of the tokens from that day. I can then go and redeem these tokens to the Haste loyalty wallet, which I said I would mention. And basically what's in the Haste loyalty wallet is BSV. That BSV is coming from one of the outputs on every gameplay. So like I mentioned, you have your game developers, you have the arcade itself, you have the Haste loyalty wallet, and then you have everybody on the leaderboard who's getting some type of output from every gameplay. So I can take my tokens and I can redeem them in the Haste loyalty wallet for BSV. So think about it as if, traditional arcade, you redeem tickets for a stuffed animal. Haste arcade, you redeem tokens for BSV. And as we continue building this out, you'll be able to do other things like exchange it for t-shirts, hard wallets, other cool stuff that's blockchain related. The last thing I would want to mention, which is actually probably the most important of everything we've done, is the developer SDK that we have actually finished building at this point. So what this is, and what the vision for the Haste Arcade in general is we want to make this something that's easy for outside game developers to implement into their technology. So for example, if I am a triple game studio like an Activision, and I see, there's a lot of people who enjoy this ILP concept, we can go ahead now and use this SDK, plug it into our online platform, and now give our gamers the option to enable ILP mode, where now they're spending $1 per gameplay, and they're competing with everybody who's actively playing in the online Call of Duty world. Last thing, I know I got to wrap this up. The last part about the SDK is that based on the people that are already playing in the arcade, if you're an independent game developer, this is something you should be extremely interested in, because by utilizing this technology, you are going to automatically be exposing your game to an established network of gamers. That's all I have to say.
All right, our next presenter is Tyler Farnsworth, who is the Chief Marketing Officer of a very fascinating company called Built by Gamers. And he's going to talk to you about what they're doing in the Bitcoin ecosystem. Please welcome Tyler.
I've got to tell you, I'm incredibly excited to be here, and I appreciate the invitation from Jimmy. And Jimmy taught me the power of a genuine compliment and reminded me of that again earlier today. My name is Tyler Farnsworth. I represent Built by Gamers. We are an eSports organization. And when I say that, a lot of ideas might come to your head. I want to show you guys just a little bit of perspective of what we're up to. Then I'll talk about how it relates or how we're engaging in the BSV ecosystem.
Competitive gaming. Let's talk about that. The year is 1972. A group of Stanford students participated in a space war tournament, marking the first competitive gaming event in history. Jump forward a few decades. The year is now 1994. Sony releases the PlayStation console, selling over 100 million units. Consoles are a hit. The 21st century has arrived, and millions of players compete against their friends in basements and living rooms worldwide. 2011. Twitch is founded, bringing competitive gaming to the masses. Now, everyone's watching. 2016, gaming goes viral, with millions of new players wanting to hop in on the latest trend. 2019, more than 100 million people tuned in for the League of Legends Grand Finals, surpassing the viewership of the 2020 Super Bowl. 2020, the gaming industry estimates $180 billion in generated revenue, making it larger than the film and sports industries combined. And just like that, we're here. Pause. Let's rewind a bit. The year is 2019, and Built by Gamers enters the eSports arena, quickly assembling 3 elite teams across Valorant, Call of Duty, and Fortnite, winning multiple tournaments, amassing 5.6 million followers across all platforms, being nominated for Organization of the Year, being ranked the #1 Fortnite team in December 2020, dropping exclusive merchandise, and grossing 5.5 million views in January alone. So, now that we're all caught up, let's do this one more time. The year is 2021, and the question is, how much do we want to build next?
All right, so I wanted to show you that. Hopefully it gives you a bit of perspective that this space is massive. It's growing like crazy. The world of gaming and gamers is not what we once thought. It is no longer a late 20s gentleman in his mother's basement. It is a very wide audience, very wide audience. The average age of the gamer, even in our ecosystem, is early 30s. We see that the gender disparity is nearly gone. It's about a 52 to 48%. The stigma around gaming has changed in a big way. And so I joined this organization coming from a decade in advertising. So I've worked in ad agencies for the last 10 years. I started an influencer marketing firm called August United. It became one of the fastest growing ad agencies in the world. I exited that in February of this year to join Built by Gamers because I see the trajectory that esports is on. The pandemic has actually been a huge boon for the world of esport. As traditional sports shuttered, people turned to Twitch. They turned to YouTube. They turned to their own games. And it's not just about them playing, but it's also about them engaging in the fandom that exists in the world of esports. So that video that we showed you we produced in January. Those numbers are significantly higher now. We have over 10 million individuals in our network at this point, and we are generating over nearly 30 million views right now. I say this because I am a newbie to the world of BSV. I hope we have new faces at every single one of these conferences, because that means our community is growing. That means new people are coming into the technology. We have been BSV fans for a while. Taylor Searle, who is here with me, is a part of our organization, big part of our organization, and he has worked to help cultivate relationships. As we saw this huge audience that we've generated, we said, hey, we want to do more than everybody else is doing. A testament to the BSV community is that the BSV community is not insular. It is very welcoming, is very accepting. In nearly every instance where we have said, hey, you guys are doing something cool, we'd like to see how we could integrate, we have been met with open arms, where people have said, yes, let's work together. Let's make something happen. And I can tell you we've built relationships with a number of groups, even folks in this room. For another plug for CoinGeek New York, we will be debuting and announcing a lot of cool partnerships. But today I want to talk just a little bit about where our head is at and why we've decided to focus on BSV versus anywhere else. So now we're in this space, right? So there's advertising, there's fans, there's people engaging, there's people watching. We are becoming the ESPN of esports. We create content at scale. We staff elite teams. We have fandom. We are trying to recreate what the season ticket holder experience looks like in the world of esport, okay? Just to illustrate this a bit, these two individuals, Drake and Taylor Swift, these were the largest concurrent viewer numbers on Instagram Live, okay? So 300,000 is what Drake had. This is major celebrity, tier 1 celebrity. This gentleman over here is a Twitch streamer, and he had 2.4 million people watching the reveal of his Fortnite skin live, okay? And we laugh, but this is audience. It's real audience. It's massive audience. And what we know is that if we wish to bring BSV into the mainstream, we need real audience. We need people who don't care about some of the stuff underneath the experience, and they care about having an experience that doesn't cost them $45 in gas fees every time they want to do something interesting. We need them to care about just the fact that it works, that they can engage with us in unique ways, and that's what we're building here. So why have we integrated, or why are we putting a ton of emphasis into the BSV ecosystem? Is because we want to create the most exciting, the most engaging fan experience anywhere in the world of esport. Esport is not just for people who care about watching that specific team. We are building an esports lifestyle organization. This means there's events, there's experiences, there's fans, there's individuals that they can root on. There's merchandise, there's NFTs, there's unique opportunities for us to reward them in unique ways. I'm not going to go through all this, a lot of text, but we see that this is much more than the Internet of Things. This is the Internet of value. We are providing value to individuals. And this isn't theory. We all know this. These are things to where we see with BSV technology, we can provide the best advertising attribution chain in the space, unique engagement experiences, unique NFTs, a lot of fun things that can engage our audience in fun ways. So we have to get people into this ecosystem. And I know for me, someone who's newer into the space, the most frustrating part is the challenge I have of acquiring BSV. So on-ramps and things are stuff we're talking a lot about right now. We do not care, and something that I love at this conference, unless I'm mistaken, I've not heard a single person talk about price today. We're talking about value. We're talking about engagement. We're talking about utility. And that's what we see here. So we have a plan to bring this technology to our 10 million plus fans, to help bring a huge influx of individuals into this ecosystem by playing unique games, by engaging in unique experiences, by gifting Duro to these individuals, and by bringing our sponsors into the space. We also see that it can generate significant revenue for us as an organization. Esports organizations typically are driven by sponsorships and sponsorships alone, and it has made the economics challenging. And what we see is that there's opportunities for fan purchases, donations to, a lot of fans donate to the people that they watch. Wagers on tournaments that we put in or against each other. Original games that we produce, potentially with these folks, we'll see. NFT resale commissions. We could see that as we sign new players, we mint rookie cards and other packs and unique elements there. And then sponsorship. As you can imagine, if let's say we did a sponsorship with one of the largest pizza groups here in the country, and we have these unique NFTs that have a barcode or a QR code on them, and those are distributed solely through our streamers. And if you go and redeem that either online or in store, there's an attribution back to this campaign. In the world of advertising, I've often said if somebody can solve the online to offline attribution problem, they'll become a billionaire. And I believe that BSV technology is on our way to solving that. There's a lot of value exchange back and forth. There's a lot of fandom, there's love, there's ways we can reward our fans. There's ways that we can bring experiences that simply cannot occur in other ways. We see the opportunity for NFTs that evolve and grow and showcases the depth of your fandom with us. We love what's going on in this space. If you wish to connect with me further, I know that we are right now looking for ways to build with people in this room, looking for ways to engage with people in this room. We have audience. We can bring unique audience to the things that you build, and we can build together. Love what we're up to, guys. Let's keep killing it. Thank you.
Next, we have a remote speaker who's going to continue the conversation about esports. And if you're sensing a big movement in this sector, it's because it's become a really popular way for blockchain technology and digital currency to be adopted. It's a very unique and uniquely relevant audience for us. Joining us next remotely is the CEO of the company we've talked about several times. The company is called Fix Gaming. They're a very popular game now, which is hitting a lot of traction on the BSV network, is CryptoFights. Please welcome to our virtual stage, Adam Kling. Hi, Adam.
Hey, thanks, Jimmy. Appreciate it. Is my screen share coming in okay?
You are, because we see winning won't wait, and you know how I love a win.
Exactly. Yeah, so I'll get started. So quick nutshell about me is I actually been following Bitcoin since 2013, which seems like a long time ago, and really engrossed with what was going on in the industry. And I was essentially like a serial entrepreneur looking back. I mean, I never stopped trying to create businesses or project or just, something to do on my own. And I remember, looking back at Bitcoin and say, you know what, we're just starting to get, wallets developed and exchanges to get into it. And I unfortunately couldn't find a lot that I wanted to do there. And ended up doing, many other things until it was about 2017 where, and I know it's kind of not necessarily a dirty word, but Ethereum really caught my eye about learning how to actually build applications or decentralized applications on Ethereum. And that's actually when I started and put together a small team to create CryptoFights. And back then it was really trying to figure out, why is there only a couple hundred daily active users playing these other games? Because it sucked, the user experience with MetaMask and interfacing with the blockchain and Web 3.0, as they called it. And also, why aren't they all using game engines and getting really serious about the game developments? And there was also a lot of like Ponzi kind of schemes with games back then. So I said, you know what, I can do better. And we started creating CryptoFights. And during that time, CryptoFights was really shoestring budget. We were using a lot of stock assets and just really trying to figure out, how to make this work on Ethereum. And we would solve some problems. We were testing out other people's technology, and we would always kind of have problems to solve. I mean, it was essentially a whole year was research and development on how to actually create a back-end technology that would work. At that time, actually, a lot of people were more focused on just selling NFTs and making money than they were the actual game and maybe the utility of how that all worked. So as we were starting to do that, the game's really evolved since then. So what is the game? It's a 1v1 strategy fighting game, and we base it on the Dungeons and Dragons dice mechanics. You actually can play this for free. There's no kind of buy-in like a lot of the other blockchain games. We have a single player mode that you can play for free. You can get free NFTs. You can grind it out, get the feel for the game. And then when you're feeling a little competitive, you can actually enter our PvP arenas where there's actually an entry fee. And this kind of goes into kind of the esports that I see into the future that I'll try to save for a little bit later. But By doing that, you actually can what they call play to earn, or maybe play to win. Because, you know, right now I play a lot of video games, got the gamer chair in the background, and I've devoted a lot of time into getting good in many different games, but it was essentially purely entertainment. And now I think esports, you have the opportunity, or at least I want to be a part of creating the opportunity for people to actually profit and being able to make really good money. I mean, not 50 bucks, but like enough to pay your rent. And so that's kind of the future that I want to see happen. So this is kind of how far we've come. This is actually a screenshot really long time ago of when we were first starting, trying. On the top right, we had kind of this game mode where you would essentially configure everything with your fighter, and we'd let the smart contract kind of decide who would win and play it out, to different menus and UI systems, all using stock assets with just a couple of people trying to make this thing work. And then this is what it looks like today. We spent a lot of time on the artwork, the game design, and trying to create a more compelling experience for you to actually have fun and try to outwit your opponents. One of the three elements I would say with the game is strategy, probability, and a little bit of luck, because it does involve some dice rolls. But as you see in kind of the top middle, you know, when you go into the caravan and actually create your character, you have many different items, and those items all have different properties and how they work based on how you configure your character. Like, is it a elf with a lot of strength, or a lot of dexterity, or a lot of intelligence? Did you select a passive skill that give you more evasion? Did you equip a heal, or did you equip a power attack skill that you can use in battle? What is the other opponent going to bring into battle with you? Are they going to be high evasion? Are they going to be a mage, like a glass cannon? Or are they going to be a tank? And you have to try to figure out really how to outwit the opponent. We have a full-on skill tree, over 50,000 combinations, and we plan to add more. Lots and lots of places that we can go with this game, but we wanted it to be really a step above a lot of the web-based games that we see on the market. And we're using Unity as our game engine, so we have a lot of room that we can go and make this thing, you know, really kick ass in the market. And so as we started to develop this game, and we switched over to BSV, and I'm sure we'll talk about that more on the panel on why. It unlocked a lot of new possibilities because of really Ethereum is kind of like a monolithic kind of design, and Bitcoin is really like a multi-threaded design. So we can do a lot of things at once and or in parallel with each other. And so when you actually log into the game, one of the key concepts is that you're actually, instead of your move actually being sent to like our server that kind of records that, and then we're taking kind of everyone's move in, is we're actually using a Bitcoin transaction to do that. So think of the game client as actually your Bitcoin wallet now. And so we're actually kind of using a new network model for game transactions. And so if you see on the kind of the top right, this is essentially a block explorer looking at a cryptofice transaction. And so we wanted to make kind of a new block explorer on the bottom right. This is, again, very beta. There's a lot of polish that we need to do to it, but to make it more readable to just the gamer that wants to see, okay, what happened, like the combat log. We can actually record, or I should say render a video of that game, because we can just take all the transactions back through and render it in the game engine, and all of the fight details, what the items were on, and how much money, and actually basically decrypt a lot of that gobbledygook that you see in there to make sense for them. And so as we started to develop more of this portal, we figured, you know, we have an incredible amount of data that essentially is being created on the blockchain that we can have an interface to. And so the fixed platform is really it's doing that. It's giving the gamer the ability to actually see what is being done from their side, as well as the entire gaming network on Fix. And this is another example of the data explorers, where we actually have in our portal right now, you can log in and you can see all of the PvP matches being played and for what's the cash prize. You can actually click that little log icon and see the combat log as it's being as it's happening. So if it's a live game or if it's a historical game, all of the items. And as we get this thing more polished and built out, you know, we're going to have more and more information. So you can actually click the fighter, click every single game that, or look and see every single game that they've been in, and drill down into the item, or that item was transferred from this other player. And essentially it's a full graph of everything that ever happened ever in this entire gaming universe. And I want you to kind of remember that in the back of your mind, because at the end, I'm going to kind of tie that together. Another thing we do is also a player leaderboard. We have a lot of plans for this to actually turn more into a tournament system, where we have essentially everything from a single elimination style tournament to just a one-off. The top 3 ranking people at the end of the week get a $500 prize, or maybe a super exclusive rare NFT. I mean, the sky's the limit of this. And we have people already, and every week, making $500 and more. And we've only launched a couple months ago. So I hope to see that into the thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars. So going back to what I was saying about rendering the match out, this is actually really interesting because of kind of how Twitch works. We record video to Twitch because we're playing the game on our PC, for example, and we're recording that stream and that's being sent out. But what's a little bit different about using the Bitcoin wallet as your controller, so to speak, is that all of those moves are actually a transaction, right, on the blockchain, but we can read those back. And essentially, it's a permanent time capsule of everything that ever happened. So it could be like, let's render the video 5 years ago that happened at this day and time from this player. And we can go spin up the game client, render that data right through, and get an MP4 with sound and all of that exact match. We can also live stream this. So we can have, 100,000 concurrent games, and maybe people want to tap into certain live streams, maybe based on region or a certain player. The sky's the limit with this, and we can comment on that. We can create social media around that. And so this is a really interesting thing that I think is going to get built out more over time, because even people that want to go and train from good players can actually create the content on top of this. So they could comment on it and say, okay, they did this, 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 and this. And so this is a really interesting aspect that BSV has allowed us to do because of the file storage capabilities that we have on chain. Now, the wallet system in the portal, it's a non-custodial wallet. So, like when you log in with your username and password, it's your account, no one else's. And we're actually creating as many as possible bridges into BSV. So if you have Ethereum or any other cryptocurrency that you want to bring into our system, we can convert that into BSV for you. And we're actually, hopefully either today or tomorrow, we're going to launch with Simplex. We've been waiting on them to get BSV re-enabled so people can buy with their credit, debit, or even Apple Pay in the portal. And especially with Fabric coming online with a lot of great products, we're going to implement their products to where you have even more options to actually get into BSV. So it should be as simple as, even if you don't want to hold BSV, we can still use it as kind of the vehicle for all of these things. And you can cash out to wherever you want, whether it's in fiat or in a different cryptocurrency. And I think the choice is up to the user, and we want to make that as easy as possible. Going back to the player profile, if you think of every single thing that you ever do on this game is essentially immutably stored on chain, we have incredible amounts of perspective that we can add, or aggregated stats that we can do on your profile. So we know how many items you might have won in the game, maybe how many you traded, how many you bought, how many you currently own, how many you've sold, what's your best item that makes you win the most, what's your kill death ratio, and so on, to where we have just incredible amounts of kind of data find that we can do for people to kind of drill down through this gaming network. Because again, this is just with one game, but as new games come onto the network, we actually have the ability to see what they do across many, many different types of games. The other thing is our NFT marketplace is right now it's currently restricted to just CryptoFights items. And we're going to be releasing a create a collection functionality where you can actually create your own NFT collection similar to OpenSea, and create NFT items within that collection. And what's cool about this is that you can actually start to actually put videos and files and sounds, PDFs, and many other things inside of your NFTs, and actually have that stored on chain to where most of these other ones, it's going through IPFS, and you don't really know if, 10 years from now, if it's even going to still be there. So this is a really exciting place to be, especially with NFTs and what we're going to start to look at with license agreements built in, and actually what rights do you have to the NFT that you own in your wallet. And so the future for not only the game, but also the fixed platform is that we want to actually have NFT auctions, which I think are going to be really cool if you have a very rare item or just any item and you don't know what the price you want to sell it for is you can just kind of eBay it. The live match streaming is going to be another really cool thing because, people are going to like to watch, maybe a top player or just what's going on in the gaming network. I always kind of want to see what are people playing. I don't necessarily want to log into the game and see that. We want to have it on every device. The cash tournaments, I envision sometime in the future where we actually have a commentator, similar to like a boxing match, where they kind of call out winners and losers, and you can kind of watch and spectate that way. The other thing is a 3 versus 3 mode. We're looking at probably in the future where you can have 3 of your players versus another 3 players, and kind of had a lot of new dynamics. And hopefully next year we're going to be able to start adding new games to the platform, as we have a whole SDK integration suite that we're currently building to be able to offer cash tournaments, the portal, the wallet, the NFT systems, all that to other games. And while I'm sorry running over, but just a little bit more on the metaverse, is that BSV and what we're doing at Fixed Gaming is, I think, the foundations for how a true metaverse can work. I don't think it's a serial number that you own in your wallet. I think we actually have to build a protocol that games can use to interact with objects within games, have license agreements built in, and have something completely autonomous to where the game can just operate. And it's kind of like a permissionless system, like open source, that you can go in and operate. And that's the future that I hope that Fixed Gaming can start to build in the near future. Thank you.
Very fascinating. Great world of esports coming. Next, we have Matt Dickson, who's going to be talking to us about the use of BSV blockchain technology in casino gaming, creeping into the world from casual games where you're making money to actually betting. So, Matt, tell us about BitBoss.
Hey, thank you, everybody, for coming. My name is Matt Dickson. I'm the CEO and founder of a company called BitBoss, a real money gaming company. Start talking about tokenization of US dollars. We're proud to announce today that we've been approved by a US financial bank to issue cryptocurrency based on deposits. So we are going to have one of the first FDIC insured tokens in the country right now. So let's talk about why it matters in the casino environment. First of all, there's something called cashless wagering. It's all the rage right now. COVID really allowed casinos to get into this. Regulators never wanted to allow the player to attach their bank accounts directly to a slot machine or a table. COVID kind of blew all those rules up, and people realized there was a lot of money that could be had if you could keep people sitting in their seats. So we are taking our token, we have our own wallet, and we are creating hardware right now. It's currently in the testing lab, GLI testing lab, and that will allow people to connect their crypto wallets directly to slot machines. We also have an ecosystem that allows players to transfer these credits to the cage and also to blackjack tables, baccarat tables, and things like that. Why does it matter? Why is crypto better than what we currently have? I mean, there's plenty of cashless wagering on cruise ships, things like that right now. As we go out, we talk to these casinos. They have a little bit of a tough time understanding this, but we have a confluence of online gaming, excuse me, and land-based gaming right now, where the land-based operators are all getting licensed for sports books and online casinos. People don't realize how easy it is using cryptocurrency to allow people to move those credits back and forth. I can have a customer install my wallet in a land-based casino in, say, Colorado. They could then go back home to, say, Arizona. They could log into a sports book. They could put their cell phone number in, and voila, the credits that they had in Colorado are now going to instantly appear as a funding mechanism for their sports book, with no back-end integration for the most part. If you were to do that with a traditional database, it'd be extremely expensive, time-consuming, and you'd have to get all the different parties involved. With us, as soon as somebody signs up for our services, it just works. There's also obviously a big push right now, the Venmos, the Zells of the world. I have 3 sons. My middle-aged son, who's 19, has never used an ATM in his life. So if people think that that's the way we're going to deal with money in the future, they're wrong. By putting or tokenizing fiat, putting it into a crypto wallet and allowing it to be used in a casino environment, all of a sudden we give people an application that's useful. They can split checks, they can pay for retail, they can play baccarat, they can play slot machines, they can walk outside of the casino, they can pay for a taxi cab. It's the way that money is going to work, and it's what people want. Obviously, we want to have apps that encourage people to use, to use the casino app, and this is probably one of the biggest ways to do it. Obviously, integrating with sports books and casinos really helps. And then lastly, we have an entire online gaming platform. It works 100% on BSV. We've integrated 3 different content creators. We have about 100 different slot machines now. We have blackjack, baccarat, roulette. Why does it matter? Why do it on blockchain compared to a traditional client-server architecture? Obviously, there's over $2 trillion now in cryptocurrency. Whether we run on ETH or BSV, it doesn't matter. The fact is people can easily convert to BSV right now. By converting to BSV, we can eliminate the funding of online accounts. Places like Turkey, it may cost an operator 12% just to get the money in the door. So if you lose 12% of all your deposits, you can only imagine what happens to your profitability. Using cryptocurrency is one of the best ways to increase your operational efficiency. Content creators, we've found kind of through luck that people that create content provide that content to major aggregators and operators. Their margins are being squashed. They used to get 10 or 15% for their content. So you create a slot machine, you provide it to an online operator, you used to get 10 or 15% of the revenue. In places like China, that's going down to 3%. So now all these content creators are saying, how do I claw back my revenue? They're starting to get into the operator business. How do you get into the operator business? You integrate with a crypto platform. You eliminate the need to go through the pain of getting money into the system, and all of a sudden, instead of making 3 or 4%, you're making 100%. There's somebody called an affiliate. Affiliates bring customers to online operators. The affiliates have never had visibility into their customers. They usually get 20, 30, 40% of the revenue. Bring in a big customer, you're getting checks for 3, 4, 5 months, and all of a sudden they stop. The online operator just tells you, oh, that customer stopped playing with us. You have no idea whether they did or not. Using cryptocurrency to track all this, using our platform, we link you to the player's wallet. You can see every transaction that ever happened. So BSV, at the end of the day, we've developed on a lot of different chains. There has been problems with every single chain we've ever dealt with except for BSV. It works at scale, it works efficiently. There's great support from the community, there's great support from the business leaders like Jimmy, and I'd highly advise anybody looking to develop to work with BSV. That's it.